Good morning everyone and welcome to Lam Chi. So excited to be having a bit of a late breakfast or early lunch. It doesn't matter, this is where you want to be when you're hanging out in Isan, when you are looking for authentic local food. In Isan, one of the best things to eat is beef. And at a place like this, it won't get more fresh. As you can see in front, there's an entire fresh cow. And the cow actually came from behind the restaurant. They raise their own cows and they make amazing local recipes of Isan's best meat salads, meats, soups. Why we're here today and hanging out with Mark. This is looking to be a great meal in the making. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Lam Chi, Maha Sarakam. Super stoked for today, man. Awesome to be hanging out. Ready to eat some beef. Did you see the guy just bare hand carrying like half a cow just now? The J Vegan Festival has clearly come to an end. We are moving on for right now to some of the classic dishes of Isan that are extremely meat heavy. When it comes to meat dishes of Isan, there are not many places I would rather be for lunch than Lam Chi. We are in Maha Sarakam. You'll find it on the way from downtown Maha Sarakam out to Kantara, Wichai. This is more a nighttime spot to come with big groups of friends after work. That's actually the scenario that I've always been here, but today with Mark, you're gonna get to see all the food because we came in the middle of the day when the light is just awesome. You might actually recognize this restaurant because I've made a few videos and at night, the lighting, it just isn't ever the best, but the food here, I will tell you, it is some of the best. From when I first was hired working at MSU, I have never forgotten it. In maybe 6 years since that evening, this is still one of the best places for Isan meats, grilled meats, and specifically Isan sour soups. That is why I am so excited to bring Mark here today. Let's go say hey. Yo, Mark, welcome. How's it going today, dude? Welcome to Lam Chi, Maha Sarakam. Super stoked for today, man. Awesome to be hanging out. Ready to eat some beef. Thanks. Look at that action, dude. And from this angle, even through the mask, you can just get such a lungful of those aromas. It is just amazing what we are in for today. And super cool, the uncle here, he is the manager and one of the owners. He is a really nice guy. You can just, again, in the days of the mask, you can just see it in the eyes. He is a really friendly guy. It's awesome. We're just laughing and going through a lot of beef up in here.
The beef parts and the herbs and the lemongrass just walk through the air.
This is actually really cool. Since the years that I've started coming here, they have cleaned up this back corner of the restaurant so much. Now they have very clear menus, whereas when I first started coming here, you just had to know the names of the dishes. They've got a drinks menu, they've got a salads menu, the soup menu, and then this is what we are here for. All of the beef. You've got fresh in Isan, meaning raw, fresh and cooked. We are having some of each.
toy, because if we have toy, that would be the complete beef.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that would be the complete Isan beef meal.
I mean, that is such a unique texture. I can't even think how to describe that.
It's like a chocolate lava cake in your mouth. That beef comes out instead of
From a
chocolate.
cow.
Yeah.
Tasting the first one of those two special
This one is
soups.
the dried
It is
beef.
very difficult to describe that texture. It is amazing.
This one is the uplia, or the upia, which is it's a very famous Isan dish, which includes the intestines, which still include some digestive material in the intestines.
Like a portion. Like a serious portion. Always great to be back here in Maha Sarakam, and Lam Chi today for lunch did not disappoint in the slightest. We had a full selection of all the meaty dishes that I miss when I'm in other parts of Thailand. And if you are traveling through the center part of Isan right here, through Maha Sarakam, Lam Chi is probably the #1 place that I would recommend you to visit. They have great examples of all the Isan classic dishes, especially beef. Hope you found this video exciting and entertaining and definitely educational. And I hope you learn to respect, as Isan people do, respect all the parts of the animal, because they can all be so delicious, each in their own way. Peace, much love, see you soon. Look at that sky. Beautiful sky to drive back to Khon Kaen. What a good day. Hi everyone. Sorry for the abrupt ending to that very delicious meal. I am still in Isan. You can see from my hair, maybe from my absence of a beard, that it is not the next day. It's actually several days later, and I made a big mistake. Let me ask you, please, first to forgive me for just dropping you there. I do not want to do that, of course. And have you ever had it happen where you are talking to the camera and you didn't realize that the camera was not recording for more than a few clips for actually the entire meal? That was the first time that it ever happened to me. And yes, I'm very embarrassed right now. I'm having to do this because I still don't want to delete the scenes that we did have together. I know it is not cool to start a video like that and be showing you all those foods, trying to describe how beautiful that situation is, and then just, well, have me standing in a parking lot, empty parking lot, talking to you like this. That actually is the bridge to Laos. I've crossed that a few times. I even have that on a previous video. But anyways, leave that for another thing. So, how am I gonna make this up to you? Well, I figured there's only one thing I can really do to try and do that. I am gonna answer the 4 questions that have come up the most, and I think 4 questions that I have not ever answered in any videos. The reasons for that being are, it's hard for me to give short answers to anything. So here, I'm gonna try. And again, thank you for being patient enough to give me this chance. I hope this answers some questions that you have had on your mind. What do you know? Maybe these might be 4 questions that you wanted to know. So, let me move over into the grass. Hope for no snakes. We'll hang out with the crickets. Whew, that is a beautiful sunset over there. And I'm gonna answer some of these questions. Here we go. Where are you from, Joel? What is your story? Where were you born? Yeah, those are 3 questions. I'm gonna answer them in 1. I was born in USA, in Michigan. My parents are both from Michigan, but they lived in West Africa since before I was born. So actually, they got pregnant with me. They had lived in Liberia for 2 years. So I was almost born in Liberia. Sometimes I like to imagine that I was born in Liberia because my mom was eating rice and collard greens and chilies while I was in her stomach, but they came back to the US just before I was born, so I was born in Michigan. How do you know Mark Wiens? Well, at the age of 10, I moved to Canada for 1 year with my parents, and at 11, I met Mark in Kenya. We were just running around a football field. Mark and I were not immediately best friends, no way. We were just kids running around, and it actually took several years to get to know Mark because he is such a quiet guy. But after a while, Mark and I found that we traveled together very easily around one basic concept. neither of us wanted to spend any money, and we wanted to have great memories while doing it. So we were the two guys pretty much up for any trip as long as it was possible to be done with an absolute basic budget. And you can see many YouTube videos because we kept that same mentality for at least 10 years. Through high school, through college, into Thailand, which now brings up the third question. What do you plan to do next? Well, I have lived in Thailand for 12 years, and actually I love staying in Thailand. Thailand amazes me with how diverse it can be for such a small country. It is not a tiny country. For USA states, Thailand is bigger than California. So it's not tiny, but it's also not a huge country. So to have the diversity, the human diversity, all the languages, all the food, the flavors, all the scenes, the sights, you have the rice fields, and you don't have any dry areas like deserts, but you do have some areas of temperate climate and then some of very humid, hot climates. You have the mountains. I just love how diverse it is here. And I actually don't plan to leave. I don't even plan to travel very far anytime in the near future. I am married with a wonderful girl from southern China. So of course I hope to investigate her homelands sometime soon with her. But we are really just enjoying being married and just living right here, the place we call home, Thailand. Last question, kind of jumping back to the second question. What is the favorite memory that you have from all your travels with Mr. Mark? So, Mark and I have had quite a few trips. Easily more than 100, if not 200 different trips that we've taken together. Maybe more than 200. My favorite of all of them, back in Kenya, one of the first times that Mark and I really had any bonding, and it was, what do you know, it was over food and over a very unique cultural experience. Mark and I actually shared a sleeping bag in a hut that had no electricity. It was a mud hut, actually a cow dung, half mud, half cow dung hut, and we were 4 guys in the one hut, and it was one of the most basic experiences, but one of the most beautiful experiences. If I sit too long and think about it, I could still break into tears. It's one of those memories that just shows you how things in your life are so not needed when you're thinking about the path to happiness. Things, just material things, can get so confusing. And these 2 guys who welcomed us into their house, they were actually taking care of goats and cows, and they had built a house. They did build a house, so they were not like migrating. They were living in that place, and that was their people group. And this was in Kisumu. And Mark and I, through a card game, they did have cards. Maybe I brought the cards actually, but we were coming up with some game to play as to who got to sleep in the sleeping bag, which we had brought, and who got to sleep on the kind of raised wooden platform that they had inside. It was very dark in the hut. You had to hunch over, and we thought, how the heck are 4 guys gonna fit in this thing? So why were we there in the first place? It was a school volunteer trip, and I went to a pretty cool school, and they required us to do 1 week of volunteering per year. And you had to do this to graduate. So that it was a source of quite a lot of complaining for a 9th grader, which is someone in the US school system that's age 14. 15, 16, 17, when we graduated, it was a beautiful experience. So one of those learning by doing, one of those experiences. Anyways, Mark and I ended up just having such a unique and hilarious experience. We had some tea, we played cards. Mark actually won the card game, and that meant that Mark had the right to sleep on the bed. So Mark was nice to me because those 2 guys were actually gonna be cuddling with me on the floor. And they were nice guys, but Mark kind of saved me on that one just from the awkwardness of having to sleep in such tight space with 2 guys who we just met. So actually, Mark and I shared the bunk, and then I think Mark let these guys use his sleeping bag, and they were very happy. Anyways, we had to walk, I think about 2 hours, and Mark and I basically just laughed for the entire 2 hours at how fun and unique and goofy, so goofy. We were teenagers, so we kind of did laugh more at the goofy parts, but nowadays looking back, Mark and I have had maybe not that exact experience, but several of that nature. Just, you can never imagine how hospitable. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. These guys had some animals and they had the clothes on their back. They had no cash, not at all. And they made their lives by trading these animals or trading, you know, other vegetables that they grew. And they were willing to share everything with us. And I always love thinking of this memory. And so, of course, like I said, Mark and I have taken tons and tons of trips together, but this is still my favorite memory. And I'm sharing it with you right now. And that is why Mark and I have such a special bond. Even though we are very different people, we get along well together because we trust that each other are in it for the right reasons, you know? So even if we have disagreements, and even if I blow it and mess up both of our videos, because I messed up Mark's video for this, which is why you haven't seen this video on Mark's channel. So yeah, so Mark, sorry about that, dude. I've been talking now for almost 10 minutes, and again, it has been great to hang out with you. You know what? I'm gonna give you a nice view to say goodbye, and yep, I'll see you over there.